And the logical conclusion is upon us. We can have Wakanda. We just have to build it. 19 families buy 97 acres of land in Georgia to create black-only safe space town called Freedom. But whites who are pro-African American can apply to live there. No, 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 thank you. I don't like the idea of segregation, and it's already a problem that we have been trying to overcome for a long time, that people self-segregate. Now, I can respect their rights to buy their own land and do their own thing. But to create these covenants, which we've seen in the past, to keep people out, no, I will not stand for this. You can make a joke about it, you can laugh about it, but this is exactly what we saw. I did a documentary on this about Ferguson, about St. Louis. And you know what we saw? We saw white people leave the city and say, we're going to make our own land where only we can live here. And we got rid of that because we don't want to separate ourselves based on race. We are the great melting pot. This is what you get. And I can hear it now. The collective applause of all of the white nationalists saying, please, please do more. No, I don't want that. I want to be able to live in harmony with people of all different colors, creeds, orientations, identities, etc. I want to go and hang out and say, see my neighbor. My neighbor is from India. My neighbor over there is from Haiti or whatever. And just be like, what's up, guys? I love the idea that we can live in peace and harmony as human beings. This is going backwards. This is regression. This is segregation. And they are the ones, it is the left. It is the left and the progressives that are creating this. Here's the story. A group of 19 African-American families have bought a 97-acre tract of land in rural Georgia, which they plan to use to create a city that will serve as a safe space for black families. The planned black cooperative town, which will be known as Freedom, is slated to be built on land purchases in August that sits just east of Macon, Georgia, in Wilkinson County. It is the brainchild of real estate agent Ashley Scott and her friend Renee Walters, an investor and entrepreneur. The two women are holding fundraisers to help pay for the initiative and describe themselves as a black-owned, woman-owned, family-owned, veteran-managed, limited liability company. We figured we could try to fix a broken system, or we could start fresh. This is how we build our new Black Wall Streets. We can do this. We can have Wakanda. We just have to build it for ourselves, Scott said. Wakanda is the fictional African city in the Black Panther comic books. Now, I respect that entrepreneurial pioneer attitude, 100%. Well, why do you got to do it based on race? That breaks my heart, man. It really does. That you think things are so bad that you would run away from other people because they look different from you. I wouldn't run from. I lived in many different neighborhoods. I lived in many areas that were multicultural, to put it mildly. People of all different races. I don't got any problem. I don't need to run away. I can face my problems head on. But this, to me, it is. What's the difference between this and people and the white nationalists' ideas about balkanization and wanting to create white only spaces? Now, I get it. There's a reason why people are mad at white, despise white nationalism, like more so than they would say black separatism. But I'm not a fan of any of it. I don't want this to be the case. Look, we already have a problem with self-segregation. I covered this when I went to Sweden. When they had all these refugees come in from Somalia, I think it was Sudan. It may have been Sudan or Somalia. The people naturally wanted to be near people they recognized and speak the language they speak. It was more comfortable. So what ended up happening was they started creating their own enclaves, which started to slowly exist outside, to a certain degree, of how Sweden was operating. This created certain neighborhoods where you had young people who grew up in this enclave who were legally Swedish, but their families back in their parents' home country called them immigrants. And in Sweden, the Swedish people called them immigrants too, even though they were born there. Separation is not going to help. Integration is going to help. And I don't mean cultural integration, although I think we need a parent culture like in the United States. What I mean is people living side by side and recognizing certain differences. Now, I believe in the United States, we have to be very, very careful if people are coming in, that the American culture, freedoms, liberalism, constitutional republicanism, that these things are the parent tree. But beneath that, you have your Chinatowns, you got your Ukrainian village, you got stuff like that. Sometimes, and we see this in Chicago, self-segregation creates racial animosity and will exacerbate the problems of racism. You create dividing lines. I know because I grew up in this. 47th Street on the southwest side of Chicago. Once you cross 47th, all of the houses were owned by black people. You cross below that, and it's mostly like poor whites and like Hispanics and many, Mexican immigrants and things like that. For no other reason than we knew that street. You had older people on both sides who were racist towards each other. And me and my friends, we were young and we grew up around people of all different races, so we didn't care. The older generation, because they grew up with their community, were racist. So what do you think is going to happen with this? It's going to exacerbate racism. Look at this. They say white people who are, quote, pro-black people can also apply to live there, Scott told CNN. I'm hoping that it will be a thriving safe haven for people of color, for black families in particular. Is that legal? Is that legal? It's impossible to have anything exclusively black because our families are integrated. We are an integrated, tolerant, and diverse community, even as black people. So we don't intend for it to be exclusively black, but we do intend for it to be pro-black in every way. So much land was stolen from black people. So much land was stolen from indigenous people. So to be able to come back and reclaim this land from whoever may have had it, because we don't know the story, and that's the reality. Okay, I mean, is it going to be an indigenous haven? To be completely fair, they're saying they're going to allow other people in, but think about the way they're framing it. What does pro-black people mean? This is just, in my opinion, a legal distinction they're making so that they can't be sued for violating civil rights or something like that. They say, we don't know so many of our stories, but we can make a new story, and that's what we hope to do here. They got some photos here you can check out. It's going to be in Wilkinson County, they say. The two women were moved by the unrest that triggered the police killings of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. After the February 23rd fatal shooting of Ahmaud Arbery came to light, Scott and Walters felt the need to search for a new community that they could start on their own. Scott and Walters now plan to develop the land in stages. I will compliment them in this regard. Where are the pioneers at, man? Good for them, 100%. Really, really, I do mean it. Where are the people who will go off into the wilderness and say, this is the place where we will build anew? It's not happening anymore, and it needs to happen. And I think maybe a driving factor in this is the collapse of cities. Obviously, cities aren't going to, become just like nightmare dumpster fires. They kind of are, but cities will still function, okay? But I am impressed that people are willing to go out into this big, empty, rural area. Like, we're going to build a town. I'm like, that's actually kind of cool. I just don't like that you're going to be racist about it. You know what I mean? So ultimately, I think the racism outweighs the pioneersmanship or whatever you'd call it. I wish they actually just said, look, we're going to do our thing. People are welcome to come and join us. That's it. Instead, it's being framed as this, black only kind of space. I certainly hope that isn't the case because I don't want to see more racism. They say initially there were plans to clear the land, farm it, and create a man-made lake for sustainable fishing. The work is necessary before submitting a request for a city charter. Watching our people protesting in the streets, while it is important, and I want people to stay out in the streets, bringing attention to the injustices of black people, Scott said. We needed to create a safe space and a place where it could be a village, again, a tribe, again. We wanted to create this safe space where we can address our own issues and concerns. All right, well, do your thing. Fine. I don't know if it's legal, but I'll tell you this. I look forward to two things. One, what's going to happen when you make a police force? Who's going to enforce the laws of your community? And what will you do if someone comes from outside your community to loot, burn, and commit crimes? Will you then arrest that person? And what if that person is armed? Will you then fire in self-defense? Will people then come and protest your city? And if you realize all of these things, then what? Do you buy guns? Maybe. I'm not saying that they're anti-2A. In fact, they may be very, very pro-Second Amendment, in which case I look forward to them saying we're going to arm up and defend ourselves and have our own place. But ultimately, I think that leads us to a dark route. Of course, have your guns, do your thing, right? Okay, I mean, you have Second Amendment right to do so. But think about the future. Think about where this leads us. What happens next? Are Asians going to say we're going to go build our own Asian city? Are white people going to say, okay, then we'll build a white city? I don't want any of that. I mean, mostly because what am I going to do? You know me. Mixed race Tim Pool. That's right. I don't like it. I don't. I want everybody to come together, hang out, have a slice, have some wings, have some pizza, have some beer, or vegan wings if you're vegan, and a salad. When I have parties, we accommodate all. But this breaks my heart, man. It breaks my heart. I'm sad to see that people feel like this is what they need to do. But I get it. It's racist. People are racist. And what do you do when other people are racist? When you know, when these people are saying white people are racist, what happens? It's racist of them in the actions they take, targeting an entire race of people based on the actions of racists. Not all white people are racist. Some white people are racist. Some Latinos are racist. Some Asians are actually, a lot of Asians are racist. I know, because that's just coming from my experience with, my family's heritage and stuff like this. Asians, man, they're pretty racist. They are. And admittedly, look at the countries that have become melting pots. We've done a great job. This country, United States. Is this really the direction we want to go? I certainly hope it's not, and I hope this is an outlier. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thanks for hanging out in this wonderful new, I'm in a closet, actually. Seriously, this room is a closet. It's got a window, though. It's kind of crazy. Because we're building a studio, and this was the only place where I could stop the sound from echoing like crazy. Isn't that funny? Good fun. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out.